Tom, you go ahead and just do this. I got no energy to do the intro for the show. I really can't. I can't.
Well, welcome everybody. We're obviously here. You saw the Instagram post. You saw everything. Edwin Diaz, best closer in baseball, trading in his blue and orange for the blue, white, and a little bit of red in the bottom corner. He's going to the Dodgers. He's going over to LA, and it was a rough day. It was a really rough day.
I couldn't tell you the last time I felt this bad. Like, I think.
Oh, I can absolutely tell you the last time I felt this bad. 100%.
Go ahead. You say first.
Jacob deGrom.
You know what?
Jacob deGrom leaving. Like, I understood. Like, I understood, and funny enough, this is the funniest thing. So two of the most like gut wrenching player losses the Mets have had, I've immediately done a podcast with you right after it happens.
I'm
pretty sure when DeGrom left, I got the alert on my phone on my way to your studio. On the way.
That's right.
Exactly what happened.
You were in studio that night.
The night it happened. Like, I'm pretty positive the news broke, and I was pulling in to go into your studio to meet up with you to record. And now we obviously get this one, but DeGrom hurt just because he's the best pitcher I've ever seen in my life. And Edwin Diaz for the Mets as a team growing up, like, I mean, we had to live with the Armando Benitez's when he was bad. We had to live with the Braden Loopers. We had to live with K-Rod not being K-Rod.
Yeah.
Mejia not being what we thought he was. Familia being good for a little while.
Right. He had that good year. Yeah.
And then him falling off a cliff. So, like, a team that's been starved for a closer, we finally had that guy. It was a rocky 2019. It sucked also when he got hurt in the World Baseball Classic, the WBC. But, like, we had the guy that when we needed to close out a game, he was going to come in and he was going to close out that game, and we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you brought that up in regards to Jacob deGrom, because for me personally, I had a feeling Jake wasn't coming back. Like there was no reports that said anything, but I never had a feeling that Diaz did not want to return to the Mets based on what he was saying, based on all the reports that we see, we heard coming out. So it was just like, all right, what are the Mets going to offer him? Is it going to be substantial enough that he's going to not want to test the market? That was always my fear, is that, are they going to give him a deal that's going to make him say, I don't need to test the market because I think this is pretty fair and I don't have to go out there and do that, right? Mm-hmm. So when the news broke and I saw, obviously they didn't release the details, and then the details get put out there. 3 years, $69 million. None of it is deferred for what we know right now. It could be, they could rework the deal because obviously everything is in principle right now. And then we saw what the Mets offered. That's when I lost it, right? Because I'm like, all right, I hear both sides of the argument where fans are like, well, David Stearns, he offered a contract that was pretty reasonable. It's in the same ballpark as what the Dodgers offered. And then you hear the other part where it's like, okay, well, Edwin Diaz, he wanted to win. He wanted to go. And I get that. Like, as the player, if your big thing is you want to win, I can never knock a player with that, right?
Of course.
However, right, this is the part that bothers me, and I can't wrap my head around it, is that they always say that you should never outbid yourself, right?
Yeah.
But there are special circumstances to that case. Like when it's your guy and you know that there's still more years that you can be able to get out of this guy at a high level. Like, we understood that David Wright got a lot more years than he probably should have at that age.
Yeah.
We understood that Derek Jeter got more years with the Yankees that he should have got at that point, right? But there's certain times where you have to kind of slightly overbid for your own guy just to be able to tell them we appreciate you, right? Like, there is a part of that. Like, I'm not saying that you got to go crazy, but if the Mets would have offered Diaz 4 years, $82 million, and then he goes to sign with the Dodgers for 3 at 69, I don't feel like this today or right now. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, but to be fair, I think you would feel you would still feel slighted in some way
by
because
Diaz.
you but I even think, like, I don't want to step on your point either, because I have I see problems on both sides. I put a lot of it on Diaz, though.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Diaz has been a Met for 6 years. He's been reliable. The Mets have I feel like the Mets, they probably could have put him in better situations because they could have built better teams around him. But I mean, like, Edwin Diaz was the star closer for this team. And the Mets, I mean, presumably up until this year, had a really good relationship with him. You know, he wanted to be here. I mean, at one point in time, he wanted to be here. And sure, they absolutely could have given him 4 years at the same money, or maybe probably a little bit more money because you'd want a higher average annual value.
Yeah.
But because I was watching Mets Hot Stove, because I obviously wanted to watch what David Stern had to say, and he still didn't really say much. But Andy Martino, they were talking about it, and Andy Martino said the Mets themselves are kind of trying to figure out what went wrong, because they gave Diaz the deal, which, I mean, in reality, the Mets and Dodgers were $3 million off. So I would have to say that the Mets gave him it was 3 years, 66 what the Mets gave him. And they told him, we're able to move this number. You know what I mean? We're able to give you more. If you're looking for more, you just, tell me. And then he goes to the Dodgers. The Dodgers say 3 for 69, doesn't even look back, just signs the deal. And the Mets are sitting here like, I kind of can't believe that this actually happened.
But that's my point, Tom, is that if your first initial offer to him was that, if Diaz is looking at it, if both sides are giving me the same ballpark figure, roughly $3-4 million apart, I'm going to the Dodgers. Like, it had to be something.
Yeah, but you can get more money.
Yeah, true. But what I'm saying is that he probably needed to be like, he needed to have a figure in his head that said, all right, if the Mets go here, they go 4 years, I don't think I can pass that up just because it's security on my end. But it's the same exact deal, that's like having $50,000 in your hand. Somebody gives you $50,000 just as a regular person. And you say, all right, this is your $50,000. I want you to go ahead and go buy this car. You're not going to Kia. Most people are not going to Kia. They're going to go to the BMW. And that's exactly what Diaz is like. Okay, I can go back to the Mets, but I'm going back to what exactly? What am I going back to? Because there's turmoil in regards to what's happening with this team. There's bullpen turnover. There's roster turnover. We were a terrible team last year. I want to win.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and woo me, you have to go significantly higher than what the Dodgers are giving me. But there's not undersell it. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing that and we're going to talk about this, like this is kind of like the staple of this conversation tonight, is that I don't know if you notice a pattern here, but I don't think that David Stearns is a very good negotiator. And what I mean by that is that he has a very hard time closing deals by himself without intervention. And because the reason why I know that's a true thing is because he tends to lowball people and then feel the need to have a counter offer. And the way free agency works is that if you give me an offer, I don't have to counter offer you at all. There's no rules of engagement to this thing. You gave me one deal. I can go ahead and go take that deal and go shop 6 other teams, and they can go give me the deal that I want, and I never go back to you. I don't like Diaz owes him nothing.
No, I agree.
Actually go back to him and say, can you give me more? And that's the problem that I'm having. Like, why couldn't you just say 3 years, $75 million? And if that was the case, I'd have been fine with it because at least you outbid the Dodgers to get the player. But you didn't outbid the Dodgers. You underbid the Dodgers, and he left to go to the Dodgers.
But presumably he got that offer from the Dodgers after the Mets deal had already come in. The Mets already said that they were willing to go higher than what they initially offered him, but they gave him an offer that they felt was fair. He took it to the Dodgers, and there was no ability for the Mets to do anything about it.
Yeah, because the Dodgers was like, "Oh, this is easy. We don't have to go to a bidding war."
I understand. No, I understand that. I mean, I don't think the Mets would have went to 75.
No,
to 75 million. But what I'm saying is you still have that idea, like, okay, we are willing to give this guy more money. If let's say the Dodgers offered him 3 for 69. That offer comes out well before the Mets. Even before it's reported the Mets offered him a deal. We find out he signs with the Dodgers, and then later on find out that the Mets only offered 3 for 66.
Right.
Then I'd be a little upset. But it sounds like the Mets offered Diaz this deal. Diaz took it, went to the Dodgers, got the higher number, and didn't even look back. And I'm not saying that he owes David Stern anything, but
all right, here's another scenario.
Also, can I just say real quick, because there were two things there were a couple of things that came out. I saw I think John Harper had it.
Yeah.
Or I forgot who it was, and my Twitter feed is just gross.
Everybody
right now.
is blowing up. I'm sure
it's blowing up. But I saw that Diaz might have been upset that he wasn't. First, he wasn't a fan that Hefner got fired, which I'm sorry, the pitching staff just fell to pieces, which is a David Stern problem, because
somebody
David Stern
had to fall on the sword, and it wasn't going to be Stearns.
Yeah, and also he wasn't a fan that and all this is coming out after the fact, so who knows, but he wasn't a fan that the Mets brought in Devin Williams. And I got to be honest with you, though. After experiencing what the Mets were last year, a team that had little to no pitching, going in and getting one of the better relievers to be a setup man or to just be in that bullpen, if that's enough for you to say, I'm not doing this anymore, when the Mets have stuck by this dude when he was god awful when he first got here. Like, I don't think the Mets, if they did, it was for a short period of time, never really lost faith in the dude being the team's closer. You know what I mean? Even when he was a little shaky. So if you're going to be that tissue paper soft that Devin Williams is going to come in and probably make less money than you, what are we doing here? Why do the Mets have to go and consult you about bringing in a guy that's going to make their bullpen better, the back end of their bullpen better? Because they needed it. I mean, how many times did we watch Ryan Helsley come into a game after giving up something for him and watch him just give the game away? We don't even get to go to Diaz because Helsley's just giving runs away, so yeah. But no, and I agree with you. I think that a lot of this has shown that David Stearns is not the greatest negotiator. He's definitely made a lot of mistakes, and I think he definitely read this one wrong. And yeah, he probably should have given Diaz a little bit more money. But again, I'm still more like I think Diaz wanted out.
Yeah,
honest, I think Diaz just wanted out, and I don't know if there's much else the Mets could have done about it outside of being like, hey, dude, we're going to give you this outrageous contract that no other team is ever going to give a closer in his position. You know what I mean?
It very well could be that case, Tom, but I just find it hard to believe just because of David Stearns' track record. Like, Edwin Diaz's agent is not Scott Boras.
No.
Which means that, remember, every team, once the start of the offseason begins, has a exclusive window for their own free agents to be able to negotiate. For all the reports that we've heard, there was no numbers being floated around. We heard 5 years. Wherever that came from, Mets are not going 5 years, but was there actually an offer made to Diaz during that exclusive window? I don't think so.
And we're never going to find out now.
Never going to find out now, right? And then the first thing that happens is that Devin Williams gets signed. And remember what we talked about last week. I said there was one line that got my antennas up. And they asked him, if every team talked to you about the setup role or the closer role, he said, every single team that I spoke to discussed the closer role. He didn't say outside of the Mets. Every team that I talked to discussed the closer role, which means that David Stearns already had this planned. And this is why, even if that other reporting is not like true or like saying that Diaz felt slighted, as a fan, that shit looks away, because it's like, all right, you go ahead and you go lock up Devin Williams early, but Diaz is still out here, and you look at the deal and you give him the deal that you want. You defer some of that payment, you give him a bonus and all that stuff. Like, but Diaz, you offer. So let's just think about it, right? He got a total of $51 million in the deal, Devin Williams did. You literally offered you offered Edwin Diaz $15 more million. So you're trying to tell me that Devin Williams is $15 million less than the best closer in baseball. That to me is wild. It's wild, just coming from your guy. You're not a team that's like on the outside trying to get the player. This is your guy. He's won 2 Relievers of the Year awards in your organization. He is 3rd on the list in saves in your organization. He's one of the best closers in the game, 1 or 2, right? Mm-hmm. And you go ahead and sign Devin Williams before him and then give him that deal. That's where I'm like, come on now. Like,
well, I guess maybe if I'm trying to spin zone it into a positive thing, I would say he's probably getting what would, I guess, presumably because it happened so fast, an easier deal done, just to kind of see what else they're going to have to work with, and then go back to Diaz and say, hey, dude, look, we're shoring up the bullpen right now. We're going to give you a good setup, man. We're trying to put you in a better situation. Here's our offer. Here's what we're going to do. And then again, I definitely think I'm not putting Stearns without fault. Like, I'm not saying Stearns doesn't have any issues. Like, I definitely have my issues with David Stearns. But again, like I've said to you before, like, and I know that the David Stearns inherited a Billy Epler team thing is going to come up. David Stearns did have his fingerprints all over the last iteration of the Mets. I'm not going to totally discount what he did in 2024, but the way I look at David Stearns is he had one really good, surprising year that nobody really saw coming. I mean, there were people talking about the Mets having 65 wins or something like that. Yeah. Crazy low.
That was the prediction. Right?
Took that team to the NLCS with a scrap heap patchwork pitching staff, and then tried to do the same thing the following year, fell on his face, did not work out. So he's got a good year and a bad year to fall on. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping that we can kind of meet somewhere in the middle, and David Stearns can give us something that's a little bit more palatable next year. I'm hoping that they realize that that they made a lot of mistakes last year and are going to correct some of those. But I think that's what's kind of alarming. That's what's kind of makes the Diaz thing a little alarming, is just that we just traded Nimmo, who was a fan favorite. Diaz goes and walks and leaves for the Dodgers. We're coming off of one of the most embarrassingly bad seasons the Mets have had ever. And it makes you think oh God, are we back in hell? Are we back in the basement? And I still don't feel like that. I still feel like, okay, the Mets got blindsided by Diaz. It's a GM making a crucial mistake, but I'm not in the, I still don't believe that the Mets are just going to try and patchwork this thing to be a contender. Like I believe that the Mets are going to do everything in their power now to continue to make the team better. I can't look at what Steve Cohen and David Stearns, what they tell us year in and year out, and not think that they're not going to use all those resources to make the team better.
This is why I love you. This is why you're my friend, because you're going to go ahead and give me the optimism.
Cause it's look, you can't I throw out the Steve Cohen, I want to win a World Series in 5 years thing. That's a dude who has no idea what it means to own a baseball team. That's a dude that has no idea what it means to put together a winner. He's talking like a fan and was passionate in buying a team and wants to win for Mets fans, for himself to make money, but for Mets fans. So he kind of just threw that out there. But all we've heard since Steve Cohen took over with the team, that he's going to do everything in his power to put the baseball people in the right positions to make the right moves. All we've heard from David Stern is how he has all these resources in the world from Steve Cohen to make this team a contender. They want to be a regular contender year in, year out. It's not about winning a World Series every year, but it's about having a chance to get there. So I've been hearing that for years. Okay. After having to live through the Wilpon Mets, where they were just making blanket statements telling you that they were going to be scraping guys off the bargain basement bin. You know what I mean? So I can't, in good conscience, I can't look at an organization that is telling me they're trying to win and that the only move that the Mets are going to be making this offseason is bringing in Marcus Semien. And I keep seeing that they're talking that Michael King is somebody that's on their radar. I just physically can't. If that happens, I will admit I will have a really hard time being the optimist when we have these conversations, if that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
But right now, on December 9th, I'm not going to get totally there yet. The Mets messed up. They definitely messed up this Edwin Diaz thing. I think Diaz also wanted to leave. I don't think it's a David Stern sucks. I don't think it's a Diaz is a bad guy. I think it's a we're going to meet in the middle, and they both had their issues. But sitting here on December 9th, I'm not going to lose my mind because there's still so much offseason to go, and there's still so many ways that the Mets can right this ship. Because let's remember, Diaz has been a Met for 6 years. And how much of a regular contender have the Mets been in those 6 years? Not many. I could probably count on one hand.
Listen, he was still one of the best closers in baseball last year, and the Mets were terrible.
Exactly. So I mean, look, is the Mets bullpen better without Edwin Diaz?
No.
But are the Mets automatically not gonna be a contender next year? No, that's not the case. The Mets have holes. The Mets have holes, and
they have monster potholes.
But do you honestly believe that we're going to be sitting here starting a new podcast for spring training and the Mets aren't going to do everything in their power to address those holes? Do you think that we're going to live through an off season after they just had an embarrassing season last year, coming off of a year where they went to the NLCS and lost to the Dodgers? Do you think that we're about to have an offseason that's going to consist of Marcus Semien, Michael King, and some scrub outfielder to take Brandon Nimmo's spot? Do you think that that's going to happen?
Based on how I'm feeling right now and based on his track record, I would say it's pretty high possibility. Yes.
You don't think David Stearns at all realized that he underestimated?
He might realize it. No, he might realize it, Tom. I don't think he's very good at negotiation. So that, again, like, one thing I can give Epler was a killer when it came to negotiations. There was something about that guy that he just knew how to pull deals, right? I think Stearns is a baseball guy that knows how to put the farm system together. They got a good scouting thing. That's his strength. This is not his strength. Like, you can be a fish in a small pond, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Milwaukee, because look, you're not dealing with big time free agents anyway. You're dealing with fringe guys. You're dealing with reclamation projects. You're dealing with prospects. Those are the guys that you're actually, like competing for. This is a different market where you have to sell somebody in a big market about what you have done. And I think that Diaz and his camp lost confidence in David Stearns to build a winner. That's what I see, because right now it's like we just talked about it, right? Diaz is 6 years. Stearns has only been here for 2 solid years. But like, if we're gonna call 2024 a fluke, right? Just like, lightning in a bottle. 2025 was all him. That's all him. All the fringe moves that he made, all the bargain bazaar shopping that he did, that was all him. And it never worked from day one. From day one, the team was off.
Yeah.
From day one.
Agreed. Absolutely.
So this is what I'm saying, is that and also too, I don't know how true this is, but I've heard rumblings that people are not fans of David Stearns inside of the organization. We're talking about players and like, I've heard that. I don't know if it's true, and I'm not going to go ahead and like stamp that as fact. But if there is something there, if I'm putting the tea leaves together, I can see how that might be a thing. He does not seem like a likable person when you're in negotiations with him. And sometimes that's a good thing. But when you're talking about like your base guys that the fan bases love, and you're still doing that with those guys, it feels a lot more personal for a Mets fan. Because we're going to go into it, right, where there's reports out there right now that's saying that David Stearns is not comfortable going over 3 years for Pete Alonso. So we just saw Kyle Schwarber get 5 years from the Phillies at $30 million a year. You're not comfortable getting Pete Alonso, who's the second or first best power hitter when you talk about Schwarber and him, right? It's a flip-flop. So you're not willing to go 5 years for him, but yet the Phillies do it for their guy? That feels like it's a slap in the face. And if that does happen, where David Stearns is not budging over 3 years and he goes to the Orioles for 4 or 5, Met fans are going to riot. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
I absolutely, and I agree with you. But again, I want to let that happen first, and I don't want to just.
I get it. Yeah.
I don't want to just. I don't want to like react to what happened to Diaz and just assume that it's going to happen with Pete. I don't want to do that, because, I mean,
but it is a track record.
Though, no. I agree with you, but again, specifically on the Pete thing, like, Pete, the David Stearns might be hesitant to go above 3 years for Pete Alonso. Doesn't mean he won't do it. It doesn't mean that he won't do it. It's just he's hesitant to do it. And also, like, I understand that he's meeting with the Orioles. I understand that he's meeting with the Red Sox. I totally get it. But I don't know if I necessarily believe that that even those two teams are still going to be willing to give him 5 years, 4 years. Like, Pete's got to get that deal for me to believe that he's going to get that deal. You know what I mean? And I don't want to just say, oh my God, they didn't re-sign Edwin Diaz, so they're probably not going to bring back Pete.
But what if it's the same type of situation where he takes the short deal and just not with the Mets?
That would suck. That would really that would suck.
And he does it just to say, go fuck yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like because.
But let that happen. Let that happen first. Because
we're not gonna speculate on that. But it's just like there's a raw feeling right now for Mets fans, because Diaz leaves and then this report comes out there. Mets fans are like, really? Like, you're gonna just, all right, Nemo's gone, Diaz is fucking gone, and now we're getting reports about you're not comfortable going over 3 years for Pete. It's like an avalanche of emotions for Mets fans right now. And I can understand that. Like, for me, I seen it. I was like I don't. If this came out tomorrow, I can be able to process it a little more. But the fact that it's coming out in real time right now, while we're still trying to process this Diaz thing, it's just like, come on now, it's enough. And
I think a lot of it is Boris. I think a lot of it is also Boris just trying to putting the screws to the Mets because this just happened. You know
always. I mean, look, I don't think that a deal with Alonso gets done unless Steve Cohen gets in there. I think that Steve Cohen is, because remember, Steve Cohen has the relationship with Boris.
Yeah.
Stearns doesn't. So it's Cohen that's going to have to be in on these deals to see exactly what the number is. And I think Cohen is going to have the final say when it comes to Pete Alonso. I don't think it's going to be Stearns. I just don't.
No, well, I don't know, because it kind of just depends on what they deem is going to be a better fit for the team. You know what I mean? And I think that
how can you not think that Pete is a better fit for the team?
I think that, but I think with Kyle Schwarber going back to the Phillies, that I think they're going to hardcore pivot back to Pete.
Yeah,
because they did offer Schwarber a deal that would have
3 years, one
Mets Schwarber deal
20.
Oh, I know that it had a higher average annual value.
Yeah, it was
than
3
the
years,
Phillies,
120. But he wanted they offered him 40.
He wanted the year. He wanted the years more than
yeah. I mean, what is he? 32? Of course, he's gonna want the years.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. So I just don't, because I don't really see, like, I don't think the Mets are going to go get Kyle Tucker. But if Pete signs somewhere else, they probably.
I think Kyle Tucker he looks like a Blue Jay to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the issues with David Stearns are going to be fixed by the team actually winning. That's the thing. Like, I can't stress this enough. I'm so upset that Diaz is gone. And yeah, you're right. There are a lot of stains on the David Stearns track record, but I'm not willing to necessarily give up on a guy after one good year, one bad year. You know what I mean?
Like, but here's my question to you, Tom. You said that you believe that the Mets can put a winner out there.
Yeah.
But presently constructed.
No.
That's what I'm saying. And like, let's
it's presently constructed on December 9th.
On December 9th, but we can only talk about December 9th.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the myriad of holes that we have to fill.
Yeah.
Bullpen, lineup, and starting pitching. There's not many teams that consider themselves contenders that have to fill all 3 phases of their baseball team. That is a concern for me. Is that if it was just starting pitching, okay, cool, we can go ahead and attack the starting pitching market, whether trade or free agency. You have to do so much heavy lifting, and you've already dropped the ball on one. So it's like, why Met fans right now? I think the Met fan base right now is the definition of me and you right now.
Yeah, I agree.
You have the optimism of saying, let's just wait and see what happens. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, Diaz is gone, but I need to see more. While there's people like me that are just like, I don't trust David Stearns to put this together because I've seen enough. I've seen how he's built the team. I've seen how he built the team in Milwaukee, and that was fine in Milwaukee. It's not fine here. You can't do that here. And that's all I'm saying. You just can't do it here.
I agree with you, but again, I think it's like, if this, let's say this was David Stearns. Let's say we're coming off of David Stearns like 3rd or 4th year, and we're kind of here.
Yeah,
I'm more inclined to say, okay, it's time to cut bait and let's go. Like, if we have, let's say this coming year, we repeat or have a similar season to what we had last year, he's obviously gone, and I can't defend him. You know, but again, like I said, coming off of a winning season and a losing season, I want to see if he can get somewhere in the middle and kind of round out to form. And again, I think it's kind of refreshing that David Stearns is saying all the right things in the sense that there's still a good available free agents, and also is so willing to trade away some of those prospects that every single time he steps in front of a microphone, he can't help but gush over. I think some of that is to try to get Met fans excited, but also some of it is trying to say to the league, hey, we got all these top 100 prospects. Come on, let's get a deal done. You know what I mean? So I think that it's kind of a little bit of both of that. Like, I don't think this is going to be a situation where David Stearns isn't going to necessarily be proactive to get the team better. You know, I think that we're going to see guys get moved, and I think we're going to see, unfortunately, I think they're going to have to make a trade for somebody in the starting rotation. I just don't see anybody that's available free agent wise that I'm like, I'm dying to give 7 years to or 6 years to.
And that was the question that I had for you before. You know, I wanted you to finish, but that was my question. Like, based on the free agent market, if you go ahead and sign Michael King, you go ahead and go sign this guy, that team to me is still not better than the Dodgers.
Yeah, but I mean that team, but that team with Edwin Diaz isn't better than the Dodgers.
No, so. I get it, but at least you have that in, like, at least you have the power closer on your side. Because the thing is, like, what concerns me about Devin Williams being the closer, and you might disagree, you might agree, is that he's not a flamethrower. I always think about closers as guys who throw gas, right?
Yeah.
And there's nobody that throws more gas than Diaz. He's lost a couple of, he lost a couple of miles per hour on that fastball, but he's still the guy.
He's great. He's great.
Still great. Devin Williams doesn't clock higher than about 93 on the gun. That's concerning to me.
That is concerning, but I mean, like, outside of the beginning of the year with the Yankees.
No, okay, no. We're just throwing that year out. We're throwing out the Yankee year. I'm still throwing 93.
That's fine, but if he gets guys out, I don't care. If Devin Williams is going to come in and be more of the guy that we saw in Milwaukee and be more of the guy that we saw in at the end of his tenure with the Yankees, I'm a little bit more comfortable, and I'm obviously willing to take that risk because we kind of have to. There's really no other option.
No choice.
But again, I don't think, as presently constituted, bringing in Diaz. I mean, like, if we are just saying that this team that they have right now is a team that's going to be making it to opening day, even with Diaz, they're lucky to not finish behind the Marlins, because the Marlins were like the hottest team in baseball last year after the All-Star break. So I think that's kind of what it is. It's like, I understand, like, the Mets haven't even sniffed the World Series. I mean, the closest they got obviously was the NLCS a couple of years ago with Edwin Diaz. It's the closest they've ever gotten to a World Series. Other than that, they're lucky to sniff the playoffs. So it's hard for me to look at the Diaz thing and say, oh my God, the world's crumbling. We're not going to be good because we didn't bring back Diaz, when there's so many other holes that they're going to have to fill anyway. So I'm more concerned with, like, okay, so where's this starter coming from? Where's this outfielder coming from? Where's the what are we doing with Pete? Like, yeah, I wanted Diaz back. I would have loved Diaz back. No question. But, like, I don't know. Devin Williams is really good, and I think that they can get another bullpen. I think they can, I don't know, see if one of their young pitchers can fill in the bullpen, bring in another low leverage reliever that, can make it work. I'm really excited that AJ Minter is going to be healthy again, but I'm more concerned about what the rest of the lineup is going to look like and what guy at the top of the starting rotation is going to be, because, again, what helps a bullpen is starters being able to give you length. And I mean, every single one of the Mets starters was lucky to get out of the fourth inning last year.
And that's why it bothers me to hear the reports that he's not really a big fan of Framber Valdez, because Framber Valdez is a bulldog.
He is a bulldog.
And you want Michael King, who's another reclamation project, who's had 1 year starting, and he's coming off an injury-riddled season. That, to me, does not scream length and bulldog. Like, he's good. The year that he had 30 starts, which was 2024, right?
Yeah.
Great. But we gotta start looking at present day shit. Like, I can't keep looking at guys and say, well, their 2024 year. What happened last year?
No, I agree.
That you need to start, like, that. There's some data there where if they were healthy, or, like, come on now, we can't keep thinking about guys 2 years out and signing them based on what they did 2 years ago. Like, it's just ridiculous to me. Like, we are in an arms race with the Dodgers. We are literally in an arms race. They are beating us at the arms race, and that should not happen. Like, there's no reason why we should not be neck and neck with the Dodgers when we're competing for every single free agent out there. Dodgers say, yeah, we need a closer. Let's go get Diaz. And they took him from us.
Yeah.
That's the part that bothers me. It's not like we are both vying for Edwin Diaz when we didn't have him, right? We need a closer. They need a closer. They get Diaz first. Okay, cool. Y'all got him first. You took him from us because he wanted to go there because of the culture that you guys have built there and we haven't had. That's the problem that I'm having, is that the culture that's being built here doesn't look good. It may get there. It doesn't look or feel good right now. It just doesn't.
No, but again, it's going to take time. Again, like I keep saying, it's December 9th. It's going to take some time. The only issue that I kind of really have, like I like the amount of innings that Framber pitches. I like that he pitches every 5th day.
Yeah.
It really scares me to give a guy like that, to give a guy like him, he's probably going to be looking for like 6 or 7 years.
What about if he settles in for 4?
You could probably get me to 4. I could probably be okay with 4, but he's got but that's got to be a deal that he's got to be willing to take.
Yeah,
I'm not
of course.
And if you're telling me that the Mets are going to bring in Michael King to be like a 2 or a 3 starter, and they're going to trade for a real starter, I'm all on board for it, because again, I think the Mets solution to starting pitching, or like top of the line starting pitching, is going to be through trade, because I just don't see anybody available right now that's going to be that take you into the playoffs. I'm going to be your reliable, take the ball every 5th day and give you a competitive start. I don't know if I totally trust everybody that's available free agent wise. I think they're going to have to dip into the trade market, which again, I think is very good that Stern keeps saying that, yeah, we're going to explore all avenues. There's a lot of good players left in free agency. And also we have to see what's available via trade. We have one of the best farm systems in baseball. We have all these top 100 prospects. They're ready for business, is all I'm getting at of David Stern. So sure, it sucks, but like, I don't think this necessarily means that our 2026 season is necessarily doomed. I still am not at the point yet where I believe we're about to have a Wilpon offseason where we get an aging second baseman who's a good clubhouse guy and relatively like little to nothing else. I just don't believe that. You know what I mean? I don't believe that the front office is going to feed that to us. You know what I mean? Because we're not idiots. Like we're not idiots. We know that we just last year, after the OMG Mets, Steve Cohen called everybody out and said, "Hey, I did my part bringing in Soto. I'm doing my part. You guys got to come to the ballpark." I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And the Mets had the highest attendance that they've ever had. And if you don't do something to capitalize on that, you're going to see it go drastically the other way. And they definitely don't want that to happen.
Listen, I have friends right now that are saying they better not get any calls about season tickets right now.
Oh, no. It was funny. When I was driving past Citi Field earlier today, I saw the banner for 2026 season ticket packages.
There's like 5 of my friends that said that if they get a season ticket call right now, it's going to get ugly on the phone.
Listen, honestly, the best deal for the Mets, and this is not a plug, is the Mets Amazing Mets Pass is the greatest thing in the history of tickets. It's great. But no, I mean, look, dude, again, I'm not here to tell you that today is not a sad day. Today is definitely a sad day. Losing Edwin Diaz really, really, really hurts. But I just am trying to say that while you can feel that way, you can be upset, every right to. I don't think that you should automatically just assume that doom is coming and we're headed for one of the worst teams in baseball. I don't think we should be having the expectations that we had in 2024 for this team. I think there's still plenty of time. There's plenty of time for David Stearns to prove me wrong. Absolutely. But I'm kind of going to choose to believe that they're not going to sell me a bill of goods when they tell me that they're going to do everything in their power to contend. And I'm going to just believe, okay, you messed up. You clearly fucked up. How are you going to pivot from this? Yeah. There might not be a deal coming tomorrow. They might not sign somebody, but we got until spring training for you to convince me that this team is ready to win in 2026. I talked myself into the Marcus Semien thing. I hated that Nimmo left. I loved Nimmo. I talked myself into the Marcus Semien thing. I think they need a leader in the another leader in the clubhouse to just rile everybody together, be a true professional, be a guy that's won before, another guy that's won before. I think that's important. Great. You got me a cooler Todd Frazier, and hopefully he's going to hit a little bit more. Now go get some guys that are going to be impactful and then make this Diaz thing hurt less. And what I kind of hope is if the Mets were blindsided by Diaz taking the Dodger money and not giving them the last say, or like not letting them match it, I'm hoping that pissed them off enough to say, okay, Diaz scorned us. On to the fucking next one.
Now it's time to go scorch earth.
Now it's time to go scorch earth, because those guys that you are competing with, that you're going to be competing with, the Dodgers, because all run to the World Series is going to go through LA. I hope it falls to pieces, and I hope they crumble. That would be amazing, but it's probably not going to happen. All of it's going to go through LA. So you can't sit here and tell the fans that did their part and showed up that we're going to contend with LA by making little to no moves. It just, I just feel like nobody can think we're that stupid, and nobody can be that stupid. I can't see it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking logically. Like, logically, you can't.
Logically, yes. Logically, I am with you, but I'm telling you, I know a snake oil salesman when I see them. And David Stearns looks like a snake oil salesman. He just really does. Like,
but he does have a good like it did work. Like he was able to take a team that had little to no money and made them they're still a contender even after he left.
I get that, but again, that formula doesn't work with the big teams. It just doesn't. Like, if you did your job with being able to replenish, and let me go ahead and just talk about this comment right here. Adam Butt, what's that? Dash Q30. Not a Mets fan, but love you both's opinions. Greetings from the great white north. Shouts to you, man. Thank you very much for chiming in with us. You got another comment here. Marcus was super liked by his Jays teammates. Absolutely. He's a consummate professional, Adam Butt, like consummate professional. So, you need guys on the team that are like that are just, they're just, lunch pail dudes. They go to work, they do their job. They're there to be able to inspire the guys, motivate the guys, be a helping hand, some good advice when guys are struggling and things are not going well. You need guys like that to be able to turn to, especially like, rookies or prospects. They I heard stories last year that they were nervous to go up to Soto, but, realized that once you spoke to him, he's so open and talk about baseball. Like, you need guys that are just there to be able to, like, have a shoulder on and stuff like that. So no, he's amazing, and it's good for the locker room. But going back to what we were talking about, it's just, listen, logically, yes, you make a lot of sense, Tom, and that's where we have to stay as fans. But there is a part of me that there's just this seed of doubt, right? Because I have to see it. Listen, last year felt like 5 years. That's how bad that team was. And when I think about David Stearns in his 2 years, right? You can look at it in two ways. You can say that, 2024 was a successful year. They got to the NLCS. But I look at it in blocks. There were 2 halves of both of those years that were shit.
Yep.
And there were 2 halves of both of those years that were really, really good. So when you think about it, if you just merge those 2 together, you just have one good run. And that's what people are holding on to. And that in itself, it's like, it's more like an illusion, right? I don't know if the Mets were really that good, and I don't know if they were really that bad. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I get it.
And that's where we need to see more of a consistent track record for what you're building, because right now, if I ask you the question, what do you think that David Stearns' actual, like, mission plan is for building a team? What would be your answer to me? Because I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I would say David Stearns' plan, I mean, it is the small market mentality. He wants to get good value for where he's spending his money. You know what I mean? That's his plan. If 2024 and 2025 didn't show you that, I don't know what else will, because again, they made it to the NLCS with Sean Manaea, Luis Severino, David Peterson, kind of sort of Kodai Senga, and I don't remember who else rounded out that rotation. I'm blanking right now, but regardless, and then tried to do it again this year with Griffin Canning, who was great until he tore his Achilles. Sean Mania, Paul Blackburn. Thank you. And what I'm kind of hoping here is, because again, it's something that I heard after when the season ended, and it's something that I've heard a little bit, maybe not during the winter meetings, but before the winter meetings, that Stearns at least acknowledged that pitching was the problem. I mean, they knew pitching was the problem because Jeremy Hefner got his ass fired. So I'm hoping that at least acknowledging that and at least understanding that makes him realize, okay, we're going to have to do some things differently because that's just not going to work here. So I think what makes this hard is that we had 2024 and 2025. It's only 2 years of David Stearns. We don't have a track record we don't have like a full fleshed out track record of David Stearns with the Mets. We only have 2 years. Like I said, if this was year 3, year 4, you have some kind of track record of what this guy's trying to do, and you can make a better educated decision of saying, okay, this guy clearly isn't it. We got to let him go, and we just got to kick rocks. You know what I mean? But we don't really have that. We kind of have to just go ahead and assume, like, okay, this guy has built a consistent winner before. That team's still winning after he left. I'll give you half. He's got half of a season where his team righted the ship, and then he's got a season where, I mean, in the beginning there were known issues, but the team was significant. It was like 2024 they got off to a bad start, had a great finish. 2025 they got off to a good start, had a miserable finish.
Yeah, historic collapse. Yeah,
historic collapse. Well, I still think 2007 hurts more.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
So I think I'm willing to give a guy that came from a small market trying to do it his way, coming to a big market with a lot more resources and being like, okay, this guy's figuring it out. He's figuring out what it means to like have what the Mets have, because I mean, the Brewers might as well have been run by the Amish when we're talking about comparing them to how the Mets are put together. You know what I mean? So I am willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, cool. I'll give you 1 full year of being good and 1 full year of being bad. Sure. Let's see what year 3 is going to be. And let's see if you can right some of those mistakes that you admitted. He admitted that it was a mistake. He admitted that the pitching was bad. He admitted that a lot of his moves did not work out the way he wanted them to. So I have to think that you're going to be a smart human and realize that trying the same thing over and over is the definition of insanity. You know what I mean? I have to imagine that especially if you're preaching to me that you're trying to be a consistent winner, I have to believe that you see it too. Like, it can't just be me. He's more tapped into the Mets than we are, because he freaking runs the team. We just watch it every day. Yeah. So, and just real quick, where your pessimism comes from, I'm going to tell you where your pessimism comes from. I need you to just do yourself a favor and look down at the letters that are currently on your shirt. That's where your pessimism comes from. Your pessimism comes from because I actually don't know. How old are you? I actually don't know how old you are. 40. Okay. Most of the time you've been alive, you're probably not even old enough to know what 86 was.
I was 1.
You were 1. So no, that doesn't count. You have no idea. You don't even remember 86. No. So all you have is disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, and it's normal. It's called trauma. And every single time something happens to trigger that trauma, you get a little worried. Every single time David Stearns does something that makes it feel like you're just bringing in Colin Cowgill to be a good everyday starting left fielder, it brings you back to that. It just brings you back to those dark days of Wilpon baseball where we're running out Kirk Neuenhuis. We're running out.
I like Kirk Neuenhuis.
I did too. I loved Kirk, but that's the thing. But that's being a Mets fan. You got to find those guys that would be bench players on other teams but are starting here, and you just got to turn and love them. You know what I mean? Because you just have to. So all of those years of misery can come back in an instant. The second the Mets do something bad, you just automatically assume that things are going to be the worst, but it doesn't always turn out that way. Every once in a while, the Mets do get lightning in a bottle. Every once in a while, we get the 2024s, we get the 2015s.
Right, but we also have had 2 consecutive. We only had 2 teams in our history have made the playoffs in consecutive years.
I knew that's why I had such a bad feeling going into 2025. I was like, you're not giving it to. I know. I was like,
it's insane.
God, you're not giving it to me this year. I know
it's insane to think of all the great teams. We've never had more than 2 teams to have consecutive years that they've made the playoffs. It's ridiculous. And yes, you might be right. You might be right in regards to that there's extreme trauma there. But I am tired. I am tired of seeing we finally got finally got up under the Wilpons. They're gone, right? Our biggest thing was the Wilpons don't spend, right? This we just want to be the Yankees. We just want to be this. We just want to compete for big time free agents, right? And we finally get the owner and say, oh my goodness, we got the richest guy in baseball. And who does he hire? He hires the cheapskate from Milwaukee. That to me is the biggest joke in the universe to me, because it's like, okay, we got the guy that has the big pockets, and you hire the guy that doesn't want to spend it. That's what drives me insane, is that if you're just losing out on free agents because you're like the Yamamoto thing, right? I wasn't mad about that. We were the highest bidder. Yamamoto took it back to the Dodgers and he went to the Dodgers. I'm okay with that, right? You win some, you lose some. But when you are penny pinching your own free agents, it's personal to me. It just is. That's all it is. If you want to go ahead and penny pinch guys who have never been here, but stop squeezing the guys that are here, man.
I agree.
Because not all of these players are losers. Like baseball, you need all 26. You need all 26 to be able to pull in the same direction on the major league roster. One guy is not going to make you a champion. One guy is not going to make you a loser. It's 26 of y'all that got to be pulling in the right direction. So that's all I'm saying is that, yes, there was no success with Diaz and Nimmo and Alonso, but we can't lose all of them.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Is if you think that you can be able to just move on without those guys and still be good, I got a bridge to sell you. And that's what scares me about Stearns, is that he probably thinks that he can be able to replace these guys with some fringe baseball players. We're not doing that here. You can get away with that in Milwaukee with those fans. You will never get away with it here. You just can't.
But I don't necessarily. But I guess I just don't necessarily think that if they if God forbid they let Pete walk, if we're losing Diaz, if
this does sound like being a Leafs fan.
It's pretty similar. It's very similar.
Absolutely.
Because we keep hearing that they want to be a year in, year out contender. They just watched the Dodgers win back-to-back World Series. I don't even think that if they let all of their guys walk, that they're not going to do their best to fill those positions with somebody. I really don't think that it's going to be a Jeff McNeil, Mark Vientos at first base thing next year. I don't think that's going to actually happen.
But if it's not that, Tom, then who is it?
I've heard Yandy Diaz is on the trade block. We've heard.
No. He's a good player, but no, he's like 38 years old. No,
you'd probably get him cheaper.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm worried about right now, though. You know what I mean? I'm worried about right now. I don't care.
But all right, if you're thinking about right now, then if you're
I still think Pete's coming back. By the way, I still think that's
probably
going to happen.
But this is my point, though, right? If we're thinking about right now, we're supposed to be a win now team. Then what does it matter if Framer Valdez wants 4 or 5 years? If you're thinking,
I'd give him 4. I definitely give him 4.
But if you sign all of these guys and the Mets win a World Series in the next 2 years, do we really think that we care about the back end of those deals?
No, absolutely. We
don't. That's what I'm saying is that if we're in an arms race with the Dodgers, you have to find ways to catch up, because you can't just keep saying, yeah, we don't want to do that because, we're scared of the other year. If the Dodgers want somebody, they're going to be like, okay, cool, we'll sign them, and then we'll kick the can down the road because we're trying to win now. We don't care about 5 years from now. And that's my biggest thing, is that we as Met fans have always been sold. There's always next year. There's always next year. Wait till the prospects get good. Wait till guys start to. I don't give a shit about that anymore. We have the ability to spend and get better now. I don't care about 5 or 6 years down the line. Give Pete what you want him to give. Give Framer Valdez this. Give Suarez. Do it now because you need to win now.
Agreed.
Worry about 5 years down the road because in 5 years, Cohen is going to increase his worth by like $30 billion. You think I care about Framer Valdez like having a $28 or $29 million contract in year 5? I don't care. I
agree. No, I agree with you. And I think that's what it is just I'm trying my best to just be be patient and let it all shake out because again and coming in I knew David Stearns was a really hot name and David Stearns was like universally one of the better liked guys around baseball, so I did not blame the Mets for bringing in a guy like it's you were saying before that Billy Epler was really good at negotiating and getting deals done. But I mean, he did have one really good season and one fall on their face season, like kind of similar to Stearns. But that second year with Billy Epler was better than Stearns' second year. Wasn't even close. David Stearns is better at building like a farm system, like a base for a team. If you can combine those two guys, I think you probably have the best GM. Some science lab. Please get on that. And then just gift wrap him to the Mets. Steve Cohen, put your money into that. Get a piece of Billy Epler DNA and a piece of just pluck 2 hairs off and just throw it in the leg. So I honestly lost my train of thought on where I was going with that.
No, statement. You were saying that in regards to the foresight of the team is like you understand that it's like you know what I mean. It's you know you're trying to. You're okay with just seeing how it plays out because
I mean, look, here are the facts. Here are the facts of the situation.
Yeah.
As currently constructed, the Mets are not going to contend. That's fair. I don't
even think they're a wild card team.
No, they're again, I think right now they're probably lucky to beat the Marlins.
Yeah.
So they're not contending. I don't really see any impact players in free agency currently. They're going to change that. I hear a GM that has admitted to his mistakes and is flaunting his farm system that he has since built from nothing essentially, and is open for business and willing to make trades. That's what I got. That's what I've been getting from everything that David Stearns has said. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to eat this Edwin Diaz thing. It's going to hurt. It's not going to be fun. I don't like it, but I'm going to take this with the hope that there is going to be other moves made because I just fundamentally can't believe that a guy that was so highly touted around baseball can look at a baseball team like the Mets currently and think that they can contend with the Dodgers even after taking Edwin Diaz. You know what I mean? Like, I think that if it inserts somebody other than David Stearns, I think that anybody in that position has to look at the Mets and say, okay, this team is not good enough to contend with the Dodgers. You know what I mean? I think a blind person can see that. So I can't believe that they're going to say, okay, so then this is the team. We're going to make some bargain basement moves and move this team forward. And this is the team that we're going to break camp with. I can't see that. I see the Mets now realizing, okay, Edwin just scorned us. We do have Devin Williams, who does have a good track record outside of the beginning of his career with the Yankees. I do have a lot of top 100 prospects around baseball. There's no impact guys that I can really say are going to crazy change my team year in and year out. I mean, for next year in free agency, I'm going to have to go trade for somebody. And I think that's coming. I think this is an off season. I can't remember an off season. I can't remember an offseason recently where the Mets have been linked to just like open for business, like trading. Like usually it's like we're talking about how they're missing out on the biggest free agent. Right. Instead of them being so active with trying to trade players. David Stearns even said, it was kind of weird that so much of the winter meetings has been conversations about trades, but it's because the free agent pool is not.
It's not deep.
Good. It's not deep. Like, I'm totally okay with giving Framber Valdez 4 years, 5 years. Cool. If it's going to mean we're going to win next year. My only issue is giving a guy like that 7 years when I still currently have the ability to trade for Tariq Skubal. And if I'm going to make that happen, I do have to intend on re-signing this guy. You know what I mean? And who do I want? Tariq Skubal or Framber Valdez? At last I checked, Framber's not even signed yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if he's looking for 7, I don't think anybody else around the league's looking to give him 7. Otherwise, he'd probably have it already. You know, so I think that's what it is.
I doubt he gets 7 from anybody.
Yeah, I can't see it. I think that it's a lot of the trauma that Mets fans have built up over the years of seeing bad teams, bad seasons, bad off seasons, is just assuming that that's where we're heading because it's so easy to fall down that path. But we're told by this front office that we want to contend year in, year out. We want to try and win. We want to try and make the playoffs year in, year out. We want to be in the conversation for World Series year in and year out. And that's not where they are right now. So if they're preaching that to us and telling us that that's what they want, I have to just be like, okay, get me there. If you don't get me there next year, you and I I'll be carrying the torch with you. I'll be carrying the Fire David Stearns torch with you. 100%. It'll be like the Olympic torch. Like you're running, I'll take it. I'll keep running right to Citi Field. You know what I mean? It's like Fire David Stearns on it. Totally with you. But as currently right now, sitting on December 9th, it sucks that Edwin Diaz is gone. Yeah. But let's see where the Mets go from here, because I still have all intentions of breaking camp next year with the Mets with a team that are going to contend. That's what I'm expecting.
Okay.
And I expect nothing less, and does that mean Carson Bench has a bigger role? Sure. I think honestly,
it makes me feel nauseous. It does.
Oh, I mean, like it's another young guy that we're hoping is gonna be a lifesaver or a thumper in the lineup. Sure. It's totally scary. But if they get that line, if they get their rotation kind of sort of better, I think they could do it. I think that there are still moves to be made. I think there's still moves for the Mets and David Stearns to make that'll make this team better. And I don't think it's like the sky is falling and Edwin Diaz is leaving and the Mets are going to do nothing. I wouldn't expect nothing.
I'm sure there's not going to be nothing.
Minor moves are nothing. Like minor moves,
that's all I've seen. Minor moves is the basement bargain bazaar moves. Carl Edwards Jr. Like what? Like he hasn't. I remember seeing this guy with 2017. Like what are we talking about here? What are we talking about?
Well, we always get those. They come up around the league all the time. Or even the Mets have had them a few times where you just get some no names, some scrubs that have been bouncing around the league. You just get them, throw them in the minors, and hopefully they come up and do that.
I'm okay with those deals, just as long as you get the big hammers first. Then you can go ahead and go get these reclamation projects. So here's the thing. I want you to put on your Pobo hat right now. You are the Pobo for the Mets. And you're better looking than David Stearns.
Thank you.
So let's take Tariq Skubal out of it because we all know that he's the big name. Let's just say that Pete Alonso is going to sign. Okay, but we still have holes to fill. What is the first move that you're making, or who is the top priority move that you're trying to look for? Whether it's free agency, trade, what is the big name that you're going to say, I am going to make a splash for the Mets in these winter meetings right now because I'm pissed off? What's the move? And then what are we giving up to get that? That's the question that
here's the problem. I really don't see. I don't know. I think. Okay. You know what? I'll even do the move that I've been seeing circulating a little while. Apparently, the Mets have been talking to Milwaukee to get Peralta and Trevor McGill over here. I would be a fan of that. I don't know if Peralta's a number one starter. He might be a 2, but I would like that because Trevor McGill is a really good reliever. Throws gas, and I think it would be really funny to have the McGill brothers on the same team.
All right.
Their mom would be really happy probably, but you at least get a really good back end of the bullpen guy, and you get a really good starter. And what am I willing to give up? I mean, you're probably going to have to give up one or two of the pitchers. Again, I'm not super attached. The only starter, the only young starter that I'm attached to is McLean. Like everybody else, you can have them. If you got it, I'm not. If you're asking me who would I rather have, Jet or Benj, I think I would rather have Benj just because of his size. Jet's a little smaller.
Yeah, Jet's
but I also don't want to take myself out of the running of possibly being able to trade for Skubal later on, but he's not in the conversation. So
yeah.
I would probably say go get Peralta and McGill from the Brewers. And then I'd hate to do it because he's another Yankee, but you have to bring in Cody Bellinger because I just don't know where else you're going to get that protection in the lineup. You know what I mean? Especially if you want Pete to DH more, you at least could have Bellinger go play first base, and then you can give Benj the reps that you want him to have in the outfield.
Right.
You know, I'm not really in on Bregman. I don't really give Beatty the spot. Let him figure it out. And if not, Ronnie's hitting nukes again in the Winter League. So let's see if he could figure it out. But honestly, like I think the Mets had a problem with hitting with runners in scoring position last year, but I don't think there was an issue. There was a bigger issue than the starting pitching. You know, I don't think that there was, and it makes me scared that like David Peterson,
the bottom of the batting order was really terrible.
It was really bad. It was really bad, but I can't like. It was just like
it wasn't worse than the pitching. Yeah.
Griffin Canning went down, and for some reason, I think even a little bit before that, but every pitcher was going 4 or 5 innings, and it's just you can't have that. Even with Edwin Diaz in that bullpen, you're going to blow out everybody's arms. Like nobody will be ready. It'll be Tyler Clippard in 2015 all over again, except for everybody.
All right.
You know, so I think the Mets to really get a game changer in their rotation and in the bullpen, it's probably going to have to come through trade. And if that doesn't happen, you're going to have to pay Framber. You're going to have to give Framber Valdez some money. And again, until that guy signs with another team, that's always going to be an option. You know, so I even think like even talking myself into it, like I honestly think that if they brought back Pete, signed Cody Bellinger, brought in Framber Valdez to be the 1, McLean the 2, who would be 3? Minaya probably 4.
Are we keeping Senga?
It doesn't sound like anybody really. It doesn't sound like they're going to get the value for Senga that they're hoping for. Just because the guy's been hurt, so you'll probably pencil him in at 3, maybe 4, just depending on his health. And then if they don't trade Peterson will round out the bottom. And they're talking about trading Peterson. And while he did not have a good end of the season, that scares me because Peterson was the only guy that gave them length. Peterson was the only guy that had like a couple of 7-inning starts.
Until the second half of the season where you couldn't really do much. But
it was more towards the end. It was more towards the end. But no, I agree with you. Like I think it's similar. Like when we're talking about like Mets traumas, the trauma of last year is just seeing guys come out in the 4th. And David Peterson's the only guy that I watch. I think did David Peterson throw a complete game this year? I think he did.
Was it him?
I think he did. I think I was there for at least one of them. That might have been the year before. I don't remember. I'm just saying. But David Peterson was the only guy to give the Mets any length. But I mean, does that make them better than the Dodgers? I don't know. I really don't know. But again, I don't even necessarily think being better than the Dodgers is going to come down to whatever they do this offseason.
There's a lot more to the game than just like, assembling arms and bats, right? Like, but that's the other question that I wanted to ask you. Do you think that David Stearns understands feel of the game? Because I tend to believe that guys that are heavily analytical, they just look at numbers on a page. They don't really understand like fit. And I don't think that team last year fit together. And I'm nervous that he's going to put together guys on the team again that don't necessarily fit together.
Well, I mean, I think even then we can, I know you don't want to necessarily, but yeah, this team definitely felt like it had a bad vibe around it most of the year. But I mean, the year before we did get 2 things that I think were kind of unconventional for David Stearns was bringing in JD Martinez, who was clearly over the hill, and bringing in Jose Iglesias, who I think everybody acknowledged that it wasn't really like a David Stearns kind of move. The guy was old, kind of over the hill, not like that clear contributor. I mean, it helped him that he ended up hitting like 300 at the end of the season. But again, like not a typical like David Stearns gonna elevate this guy and give him a prominent role. Well, he did, and it turned out he was a good camaraderie clubhouse guy pulling everybody together.
He was the MVP.
So I think there are moments where David Stearns does have feel, and maybe moments where he does just rely on the data sheets that his nerds hand him.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the idea that GMs run the like lineups and stuff like that and run the stuff on the field. Sometimes I feel like that gets overblown. I guess you have to. I don't know if necessarily like it's David Stearns running the team and Mendy is just a puppet. I don't know if that's necessarily the case because you hear that all the time. But you hear it from like industry insiders or beat reporters, but then you hear people from the team saying, yeah, no, that's not the case at all. But who are you more inclined to necessarily believe when know that you got guys that do all of these reports that are clearly just mouthpieces for other people? You know what I mean?
But there's also people that are on the team that are just PR guys too.
That's true. No, that's true. Again, I think it's probably somewhere. It's probably somewhere in the middle. It's probably somewhere in the middle. It's probably not. David Stearns is probably not telling Carlos Mendoza, "Hey, guess what? You got to take this guy out in the third." Like, I'm sure that he's not like calling down to the dugout to say, "Hey, get this guy out." Like, I'm sure that that's not happening. But again, I think what sucks is we didn't get to experience the middle. Like, if the Mets. We didn't get to experience them. We got to experience a really high and a really low. And the most recent was the really low.
Yeah.
So I think we just kind of sort of have to react to that. And when you're, thinking at your lowest, you obviously are always going to necessarily think the worst. But I mean,
it's a dark place.
It's a very dark place. But I mean, again, we had a track record with the Wilpon era Mets, and that they weren't going to do everything in their power to make the team contend after a certain point. The 2006 Mets, so much fun, all that stuff. We had years here and there. The track record that I've experienced with Steve Cohen is a guy that didn't understand what it means to own a team, thought he could just throw something together, and is kind of learning on the fly. Are we in year 5 or 6 of Steve Cohen? Is it 6?
Year 5, I think.
It's 5. Oh, I think it is probably. Yeah, no, it is 5 because this is the year that we're supposed to win the World Series because he said it should happen in 5 years.
Yeah.
So I have a track record of a guy that's a diehard and really wants to do his best to actively make this team better. With a GM who's kind of learned it now, a GM who's kind of learning how to, or president of baseball operations, who's kind of trying to learn how to live with a big market baseball team. So I think there's going to be some more growing pains. You got a guy that has more money and doesn't necessarily know how to spend it because he's not a baseball guy. And you got a guy who's not used to having this much money. You know what I mean? So you kind of got to figure out how to, again, meet in the middle and make that stuff work.
You are right, Mr. Greer, but my patience is running thin.
Okay. You have to make me a promise right now. I believe.
What's the promise?
This either happened the only show that I came into the studio, or I saw it on your social media, or I saw it on an episode watching the show. I saw you denounce the Cowboys and go to become a Jets fan.
Oh, I would never denounce the Mets.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's bad. It's sad.
Never.
We go through it.
Never.
I don't want to sit here.
Yeah.
And then one day have you leave.
There are three teams that I will never denounce: the Mets, the Lakers, and the Islanders. Those are teams I will never leave.
Okay, good.
Never leave.
Okay, good. That made me feel a little bit more comfortable.
I will always just stay. Like, I'll throw hats. I'll do whatever I gotta do to just make me feel better. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I won't leave. No.
Just think about it like this. In the darkest of days, like I've talked about it with my girlfriend. I've talked about it with my parents. I'm like, I think all of my pessimism in life is yes, let's go Islanders, Adam. all my pessimism in life comes from the Mets because, like I told you last week, all the time I would argue with my dad and talk up guys. I fought to say Jason Bay was going to be a good signing until the bitter end, and every single time they let me down. So all my pessimism comes from that.
Yeah.
But what I have to hang my hat on is that I have an owner that is invested in making the area around Citi Field, and the team better. I got a GM that has had one good season, one bad season, and keeps feeding to me that they want to contend and be a consistent winner. Okay. I have to believe that they're not idiots and they see the error of their ways and they're going to make things better. And the thing that keeps me going is just the idea of one day I only need one World Series. I don't need to go on a run. I just need to see one in my lifetime.
Yeah, I just need one.
Once that happens, all of the stuff that we've gone through over the years
doesn't matter.
Makes it feel so much better.
Yeah.
Like
it's like when the Red Sox won. What was the year that they won the World Series?
Was it 2004?
Yeah.
Breaking the curse of the Bambino.
Yeah, you remember like when that happened to those Red Sox fans, they were just like, "What the hell do we do now?" Like we've held all we've known is pain and collective pain. Where we see somebody in the Red Sox hat, we just give them a hug because we understand that pain. And now
the Cubs,
we're the Cubs, right? We're champs now, so it's like I'm waiting for that. And I'm hopeful. I am not somebody who's just going to be always pessimistic. I am hopeful that this particular Pobo can get us there. Like I'm mad, I'm frustrated, but I still got hope. Because baseball is a special game.
If he becomes available, do you actually believe that David Stearns would pull the trigger and get Tariq Skubal here? With the way he's talked and the way he's hyped up these prospects and the way he's hyped up this minor league system that he's built, knowing if he makes that move, he's gonna have to back up the Brinks truck for him at the end of the season.
All right. What answer do you want me to give you?
Oh, your honest answer. 100% honest.
Right. So if you want my honest answer, no, I don't trust him enough to do that move. Just because I just think that he's too conservative. I don't think that he's aggressive enough to make certain deals.
It's fair.
Especially when you are claiming that you're in a win now state. I haven't seen that out of him. So even if Tariq Skubal is available, I am extremely nervous that the Dodgers would be like, okay, well, let's go get Tariq Skubal then. We'll just empty out our farm system because we know how aggressive they are. And there was the executive of the Dodgers that said something. This is a great way to be able to kind of like put this in a bowl. He said that when you are worried about getting fair market value for every deal, you're going to end up coming in second a lot. And that's a very, very good way to look at things. When you're always trying to find the best value for your buck, you will end up losing. And I want David Stearns you can do a little bit of both with the guys that you don't believe are worth that type of money. Then, okay, let me see how I can be able to get a bargain here or there. Maybe I can shave off a couple of M's. Maybe I can get an extra year off. But when it comes to the heavy hitter guys, there should be no shaving of things. They should not be trying to get fair value all the fucking time. When superstars are available, there's times where you have to overpay for them. That's just the way it is. And hopefully he can learn that and learn it fast, because if he doesn't, he's going to keep finishing in second to these players. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. Well, I agree, but I also think that they did show you even today. David Stearns showed you that he's willing to go above and beyond because he was going to pay Kyle Schwarber more money than the Phillies did. Kyle Schwarber just decided to go back to Philly because they were going to give him They were going to give him 2 extra years.
Yeah, but he gave him more AAV at shorter deal. He gave him a 3-year deal. If that's what I'm saying, if David Stearns were to give the same money, if he gave 5 for $150, and then he still went back to the Phillies, I'm okay with that. But when you stop trying to get too cute with the shit, because at the end of the day, guys who are older, they want security. They don't care, like they're gonna get their money regardless. So whether they get like 5 or 10 more millions up front, they want to be 37 still getting paid rather than 37 and not being back on the market. They don't give a fuck about that. So that's the thing, is that stop getting cute with these players, because a guy like Schwarber might have took you a little bit more seriously had you gone 5 years, and now he's like, oh well, I want to go back to the Phillies. Now it's a tougher decision. But him saying, okay, you're going to give me 10 more million for 3 straight years. What happens after that? What if I get hurt? Like, no, I need the security of the 5. Stop getting cute. And that's what I'm talking about, is that people are just looking at the AAV and they're not they're not paying attention to what's really important to players. It's length of contract. They don't like players. Okay, cool. You can make me the highest paid. It's about how long I can be able to continue to get paid is the biggest thing for guys. And David Stern doesn't understand that. And that's what concerns me, is that he's so hell-bent on saying, I'm not going to give you this. I'm not going to give you that. Okay, then don't give it to me. I'm going to go somewhere else then. And then you're going to finish in second. That's the problem.
That's fair. No, it's fair. I mean? No, it's fair. No, I totally, I can't really disagree with you.
If we were the Dodgers, right? Say it's reversed. We are the defending 2-time world champs, right? We now have a reputation of success. We now control the market. You don't tell us that you want 5 years. We tell you that we want you for 3. But the Mets, I'm just gonna take the 5 years from, or the 3 years from you, where I could take 4 years from somebody else that might not be as good as you. What have you done for me to sacrifice more years on my career for this contract? You haven't shown me anything. That's the whole point, is that he's operating like a president who's done something. I'm sorry, Milwaukee is not here anymore. We're not gonna no more Milwaukee. We got 2 years of you being in New York. This is where you are now. I don't want to hear about Milwaukee when it comes to David Stearns anymore. He's not there anymore. This is where he is. So in your 2 years, you need to start operating where you are. And if you keep operating the way that you keep operating like the Dodgers or these successful teams, we are not there yet. So you don't have a leg to stand on, and that's my problem with him. I want him to operate like a startup. We got to go ahead and go maybe pay a little bit extra this guy a little bit. Let's get good. Let's get consistent. Let's make sure that everybody understands that we're developing a winning culture. And then when we start doing that, now you can start dictating the market, because oh shit, the Mets, they know how to build a win over there. Now you can say, hey, you willing to take this 3-year deal? Okay, cool. I've seen what you've built in the last X amount of years. This 3-year deal is actually good for me because I know what I'm getting out of myself when I go there. But there is no track record. That's the problem.
No, I can't really disagree with you.
Yeah,
I really can't. It's pretty flawless logic.
So hopefully that's what I want to change. If he changes that, I got no complaints.
Again, I think what's really killing him is just how weak this free agent pool is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think that's really what's hurting him.
Like you don't want to overspend for like mid guys. I get that, but if you don't want to overspend for the mid guys, then go get the guys at the top, because there are some guys that are at the top of this free agent class that are actually valuable. That if it was a loaded class, they would still get paid. They would still be guys that'll be up there in regards to having interest for a lot of teams out there. Framber Valdez, if this was a stacked starting pitching free agency, he'd still be one of the guys that people are looking for. He may not be tier 1, but he'll definitely be tier 2 because he's a good pitcher. So just because it's not as loaded, he's still a quality get for you. Cody Bellinger is still a quality get for you. Kyle Tucker is still a quality get for you. Like, this is what I'm saying. You don't have to necessarily spend on the fringe guys and give them more money that you're uncomfortable with. But for Pete Alonso, he's not a fringe player. He's a guy that he's a premier bat. Pay him as such. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
You know what
I mean? No, I totally agree. And I think we're gonna hopefully get to that point. I hope.
Yeah,
I really.
We'll see. Like, listen, we will have your particular assessment. Let's wait to see how it plays out. I'm okay. Listen, I was mad the whole day. I had a lot of time to process. I'm still mad. Edwin Diaz, you want to go to the Dodgers? I hope that you have a 7 ERA. That's what I hope. I hope that every time we see you, it's up when we see you. Like, in regards to, I want to fight on the field. That's the type of beef that I want with the Dodgers now. I don't want this nice. I want a rivalry. I want it to get nasty and dirty when it comes to Mets and Dodgers. That's what I want. I want an arms race. And we have to get the guys in the locker room, in the clubhouse, that are willing to get down and dirty and fight for being the best. Because there's weakness with the Dodgers at some point. You got to go ahead and go out there and go get it. You got to show them that you're not going to back down from them. And that's what I want to see. So those are my closing words. You know what I mean? I'm mad, but it's more mad about I'm trying to get even. I'm trying to get even with them.
Yeah. I'm totally with you. Amen. Yeah. I am upset. I'm sad. I hate to see Diaz go. Love the guy, but again, hopefully nothing but bad things for him in LA. And I just hope that all of this hope that I have that David Stearns is going to right this ship is not going to go for naught. And we can have some more fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I think just from sheer logic, and I try to just be logical, you can't look at the Mets and think they're going to contend with the Dodgers. I have to imagine that better things are coming. That better things are coming. It has to be.
Listen, it's a good. We have a good balance here, Tom. I'm the one that will jump off the cliff. You are the one that's going to get the parachute, and you're going to grab me and say, "No. Let's get back on the cliff and just realize. Let's just look at the scenery and just see what's happening." Right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I am prone to jumping. Don't get me wrong. I am prone to jumping. That does happen from time to time, but I will try to be one that's just, trying to just step back and just look at everything and see what we can do better.
Yeah.
I'm going to try, but I am prone to jumping from time to time.
I support it and I appreciate it because the way I felt today, we were texting for like a good 2 hours back and forth. I was beside myself with how angry I was. Mad.
Honest to God, honestly, like, I was just reading your text messages and I was saying to myself, I'm like, wow, I've definitely been here before. It's like, I know it. I've been there. I get it. I've been sending those text messages to various people for years. So I'm like, wow, all right, cool. I'm not the only one that does this from time to time.
No, you're definitely not. So I appreciate you, being there for my vent session.
Of course, always here for it. Always here for it.
My guy. We will listen. What if there is a big signing or trade that happens? We'll link up to see if we'll get back in here to discuss it. But until then, whoever's in here, thank y'all for joining the stream, being here for us to be able to work this out and get the frustration out about this Edwin Diaz move. For me, for Tom, the fact that Edwin Diaz is gone, he's gonna go down as one of our favorite Mets of all time, just because of his personality, the kindness that he's always shown, the humility, just the bulldog nature of him when he figured it out in regards to New York. He's conquered New York, and we just wanted to see him finish here. What we talked about it last week about, there's so much on the line that he could have been the all-time leading closer all time for the Mets. And that had some significance for me personally. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it ends this way. It sucks. But at the end of the day, you can't fault somebody for wanting to be in an organization that wins, right? If we had a winning culture, I don't think that Edwin Diaz leaves, right? And
I agree.
And that in itself has to be a wake-up call, not only for Steve Cohen, but for David Stearns as well, and also the players to say, listen, guys are leaving here because we have failed to build a culture of success here. It starts and ends with us, and we got to be better. So,
agreed.
That's all it is. Like, let's hope that we can get some good Alonso news in the next couple of days, and we'll be right back on here to talk about it.
I'm with it. I everything you said, ditto.
All right, my man. I'll see you, man.
I'll catch you later.